Liz Cheney was being interviewed on David Axelrod's podcast, The Axe Files, which was taped Saturday afternoon. And regarding McCarthy's bowing down and giving Trump a BJ, Cheney said, quote, "I was stunned. I could not imagine any justification for doing that. And I asked him, McCarthy, why he had done it. And he said, well, he had just been in the neighborhood, essentially," end quote. Well, Liz, all due respect, because I don't like your politics one bit, and I absolutely, positively loathed your war criminal father when he was vice president. But let me just ask you, why do you keep assuming that someone like Kevin McCarthy is sane, rational, a man, and working in the interests of the U.S. Constitution? You shouldn't be shocked anymore, Liz, honest to God. Just take it from your humble and obedient servant here. My name's Mike Malloy, and I hate your politics, and I hate what comes out of your mouth 99.9999% of the time, but on this one, I tend to agree with you. That Donald Jesus Trump is a scum-sucking bastard who should have been removed from office a long time ago, but I digress. Now, in response to Liz Cheney's independence in speaking the truth, as you know, she was kicked out of her leadership position in the Republican Party last month. And that being kicked out was something that the cowardly little prick Kevin McCarthy fully supported. And Liz Cheney has repeatedly gotten into verbal fisticuffs with this cowardly little prick, Kevin McCarthy, McCarthy, who has tried to align himself with Trump after the comments he made subsequent to the riot that Trump inspired, where McCarthy found his balls for about 10 minutes, grabbed hold of them and realized there was nothing in his hand but air. So he said, oh, wait, no. I believe the election was rigged. I don't think Donald John Jesus Trump did anything bad. Because what Kevin McCarthy, this cowardly little shit, is trying to do, of course, to become the next Speaker of the House when the Republicans retake the House in 2022. That's his fantasy anyway. And historically, he is in the plus column. It's always happened that way. Republicans, with a couple of exceptions, not Republicans, but the out party. 2 years after a new party takes over the White House and Congress, the out party usually makes tremendous gains. I've learned in my long broadcast career never to make predictions regarding politics because it changes on a dime, so to speak. But I have a feeling, it's just a feeling, it's not a prediction. Don't hold me to this. That's the coward's way out, I know. But I have a feeling that the Republicans are not going to gain that off-election year boost that the out party usually gets after the first 2 years of an administration. Now, there are a lot of factors that will determine that. And one of those factors is this creepy son of a bitch, Joe Manchin. This racist little prick from West Virginia who, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, Liz Cheney's remarks came on Saturday in that interview with David Axelrod. And her remarks underscored her commitment to ripping to pieces the Orange Vomit's asinine claims of election fraud and the Orange Vomit's characterizations of the riot that he instigated, led, promoted, started, gleefully watched on television, just clutching a cheeseburger in each hand, stuffing his face and laughing and joking and chortling. Too bad the fucker didn't die from choking on a chunk of hamburger meat, but he didn't. He didn't. And then Saturday night, the orange vomit was in North Carolina. Well, yeah, okay, North Carolina, one of my favorite states, topographically, but politically, oh my God, come on, North Carolina. Shed yourself of this rotten, festering lump of nothing. But while he was there, the orange vomit continued his lies about the election. And he was speaking to the North Carolina Republican Party. Now, his handlers, greasy fucks that they are, had hoped that he would focus on policy issues or the 2022 election. No, not Donald Jesus Trump. Never. This self-pitying asshole is going to constantly, on his deathbed, he's going to look up at the vampires standing around him, waiting for him to die, and he's going to say, you know, they stole the election from me. They stole the election from me, thud. That'll be a great getting up morning, won't it? So he was speaking to the North Carolina Republican Party and continuing his lies, which everybody in the fucking country understands now, except the terminally brain dead, like the Q bitch, Marjorie Greene, and some of the followers. Even Kevin McCarthy, he knows the truth. So does the turtle, Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader. They know the truth. But they have hitched their creaky ass racist wagon to this floundering, flabby, ugly son of a bitch, Donald Trump and his corrupt family, hoping that they'll get back into power. And maybe they will. But Trump's comments in North Carolina on Saturday had the net effect of crushing the hopes of those Republicans who wanted him to talk policy. Please talk policy about all the wonderful, glorious things we Republicans are going to do when we get power again in 2022, and especially in 2024. But Donald Jesus, you didn't talk about stuff like that. Oh, you filthy, rotten rat fucker. You talked about your little grievous bitch fest about how mean everybody has been to you. Oh, my God. Anyway, Cheney said Saturday, quote, as I said, I think what Donald Trump did is the most dangerous thing, the most egregious violation of an oath of office of any president in our history, end quote. Well, Liz, now, he's a prick, he's a jerk, he's an asshole. But come on, your daddy's boss, George W. Bush, committed the most egregious violation of his oath of office of any president in our history. Because, Liz, may I remind you what Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson said during the Nuremberg trials, when we put all the German high command, civilian and military, on trial, and Justice Jackson made the point that the most egregious war crime is the unprovoked invasion of another country. And Liz, may I call you Liz? I don't give a shit what your answer is. Liz, that's what your daddy's boss did. And your daddy encouraged the idiotic, brain-dead George W. Bush to do that, to invade another country with zero provocation, and to turn that country into a failed state. So, Liz, as filthy and stinking and corrupt as Donald Trump is, please, it's a dead heat between him and George W. Bush, your daddy's boss. Let's just try to keep that in mind, Liz, okay? And she went on, Liz did, Saturday, quote, and so the idea that a few weeks after he did that, violated his oath of office, the leader of the Republicans in the House would be at Mar-a-Lago, essentially, pleading with him to somehow come back into the fold, or whatever it was he was doing. To me, it was inexcusable. Well, Liz, you know what he was doing. You know that Kevin McCarthy had his knee pads on and he was down in front of Trump, either begging or orally satisfying, figuratively speaking, hell, I don't know, maybe literally, the orange vomit. You know what they were doing. You know that that's what Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy are sworn to do. It doesn't make any difference what comes out of their mouth, so to speak. It's what goes in. And the only thing that is important to Trump is just that, what goes into their mouths. And then he's happy. But Cheney, Liz also, and bless her heart, I feel sorry for her because I think she's having her road to Damascus moment. I really think she is. I think she is Saul, and when this is over, she's going to metamorphose into Paul. You think? Possibly? But Cheney compared the orange vomit's rhetoric to that of the Chinese Communist Party. Ow! Oh, really, Liz? Yes, she did. And she argued in this interview with Axelrod that the orange vomit's casting doubt on the federal election system was comparable to efforts by the Chi-Coms to totally discredit American democracy. This is what she said to Axelrod, quote, "When you listen to Donald Trump talk now, when you hear the language he's using now, it is essentially the same things that the Chinese Communist Party says about the United States and our democracy." End quote, Liz Cheney. Oh. And then she added this, quote, "When he says that our system doesn't work, when he suggests that it's, incapable of conveying the will of the people, that somehow it's failed, those are the same things that the Chinese government says about us. And it's very dangerous and damaging, and it's not true." End quote, Liz Cheney. Why, Liz, you make it sound as though Donald Jesus Trump is a full-blown, flat-out, bloated-up fascist. Just like Xi Jinping, that fat pig. And you know what, Liz? I think you're right. I think you're right. I will march down Pennsylvania Avenue with you, Congresswoman, on this one particular issue. You ready? Just let me know. Send an email, MikeDMalloy@AOL.com or Gmail. I don't give a shit. It's so strange to see and to observe and to listen to and to see the flames in this fire that's going on in the Republican Party, which is a zombie party. And what we are watching is the death of the Republican Party. I don't think Liz Cheney knows that. And the birth, if you can call it that, the squeezing out of the debris, this hideous Christian fascist party. It reminds me of those things that would come out of the stomachs of people in the first Alien movie. Remember that? Those things that would, and out would come this thing that would go skittering across, Jesus, Malloy, go skittering across the floor. This is the Christian fascist party being born in front of us. Now, I don't know how many of us are going to be alive when the Christian fascist party finally takes this country into an absolute destructive dictatorship. I hope it doesn't happen, but it scares the hell out of me because most Americans just don't give a fuck. Trump's brand of fascism is like Xi Jinping's. It's like Putin's. And this is what Trump wants. This is what he's trying to impose upon the American people. And then we have some little scumsucker like Kevin McCarthy, who totally changed his tune regarding Trump's accountability for that riot on January 6th. A riot that resulted in it's not a riot, it was an attack. It was a fucking full frontal attack on the United States by a bunch of white, sick, bully bastards with their teeny weenies. And as a result, more than 100 police officers were injured. It halted Congress's counting of the electoral votes for more than 5 hours. And it forced the legal representatives of the people of the United States into a lockdown when these scum-sucking Trump suckers overran the U.S. Capitol Police. And Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell support that. And the Christian fascists in this country support that. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.